Oh, hello. I believe we are live. Hello, JD. Thank you for
Hey, Drew.
joining us today and helping us talk about Fleet. I'll be helping to make sure that this video goes live and possibly ask JD questions along the way.
Excellent, excellent. Today is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. The current release version of Fleet is 4.43. We're
Goes
just going to do a
live.
quick overview of the Fleet UI here to get started, and then uh, we'll answer any questions that folks might have in the chat, and we'll go from there. This will be pretty quick though. When you first log into the Fleet dashboard, you're presented with this overview of the hosts that you have enrolled between macOS, Windows, Linux, and Chromebooks. You also see a summary of software that's installed, any activity. This could be from logins to running scripts to running queries on your fleet of devices. And then your MDM settings are also summarized at the bottom down here. If we hop onto the host page here, you'll see all of the hosts that you have enrolled in your fleet, along with some basic details of that, such as available disk space, current operating system, their IP addresses, and different things like that. And you can easily step into any of these to find more details about that. If I can find mine here, we'll jump into that. So now looking at the actual individual device, we're seeing, different things like the OS is verified, that any settings that we've pushed for MDM have been verified with osquery, that they've made it down to the device. Available disk space, disk encryption, FDE is turned on. Details about the device itself, and with more information down here, including a public and private IP address. We can also see our script library that we can use to run and actually run actively on a device if we want. From here, on the software tab, we can see all of the software that's installed on this endpoint. And this can be helpful, especially on the IT side of things. If you have folks that are asking for licenses that are expensive, Adobe, you might you might come in here and you can see, how often they're actually using that software in here. So if they haven't used it in a couple of months, this gives you a little bit more information to justify maybe clawing back a license and distributing it elsewhere if they're not actually using the software. On the security side of things, this is very helpful because we are capturing the version number for the various software titles out there, and also their file path locations. So if you have vulnerable software on an endpoint, this is helpful information for possibly cleaning that up and getting rid of a potential vector for attack on an endpoint. The next tab are queries here. So these are our queries that are scheduled to run on a regular day basis. So we have examples here of collecting USB devices that are connected to it, failed login attempts, and things like that. And then finally, policies. So these are using osquery to set policy on an endpoint. A lot of these, if you click on them, you'll get a summary of what this policy is in regards to, and if there is a resolution that you want the end user to possibly execute on their own or take action on their own, that can be detailed here. And I'll get into a little bit more of that as we get into policies. So that's a quick overview of the endpoint information. The controls page here is where you would set target versions for various operating systems, and also where you can see your distribution of current OS. So you can see here that we have 15 hosts up to the latest patch of 14.2.1 in macOS, and 15 who have not applied that, and then a couple of stragglers that are still in 14.0 and 14.11
Just out of
for.
curiosity, can you check to see if my MacBook's been updated? I want to make sure
apps.
that I'm up to date.
So sure, we would do that. We can come in here and do a quick search for Drew's MacBook here. Um, and if we look at that, you are on 14.2.1, so you're up to date. Good job. So
That easy.
it's that easy.
Thanks, Jake.
Um, yeah, no problem. So this is also where you would control the end user experience for that. So you can upload a JSON file that controls the various screens that they would see for automatic device enrollment. And also where you can add a bootstrap package. So this would be an additional package that you want installed upon enrollment of a device. This is where you would do that. That allows you to distribute something like Monkey if you're on the Mac side, or Chocolatey on the Windows side for third-party software updates, or another endpoint control software automation platform like Chef or Puppet would be other options for you here. Under the OS settings, so this is what we call our double check mark. So these are all configuration files. On the Mac side, we call them mobile config files. On the Windows side, they're an XML file for that. But when you push these down, we actually use osquery to verify that that has made it down to the endpoint and has been received. For those who have been old hats at using MDM, it's often referred to as a UDP, or in networking terms, UDP packets just go out there and we don't care if they actually land. A lot of your streaming services work this way, versus TCP, which actually sends a little check back to say, yes, I received that packet. So we're actually using osquery here to verify that that packet, or in this case, configuration profile, has made it to the endpoint. And once we've confirmed that with osquery, we'll move it to a verified state. If for some reason it fails, we will try one more time to push that profile down to the endpoint and verify it before moving to a failed state for that. So that's what we call our double check mark for configuration profiles. And finally, the last portion here are scripts. Currently, we have scripts available for Mac OS, basically Bash shell scripts and PowerShell scripts for Windows that can be uploaded here into your catalog. And this just makes it easier to deploy them, as you saw, as we were looking at an individual endpoint that are just available in the UI for you to execute a script there. And moving on to the next page is our software page. So this is all of the software. So you can see in this example instance, we have over 1,500 items that we're tracking here. And we've organized this to be a little bit easier to see. So you'll notice that I have certain apps in here that'll say like 2 versions. And if I hover over it, you'll see the 2 different versions that are installed on the device. And this is in part to help kind of clean up this UI and make it a little easier to see, what versions I actually have on there. And if I click onto them, it'll show me the devices that I actually have all of that installed on for that. So we can search down in here and like look for Firefox, for example. Oh, that's not good. That's a 500 error. So you
Let's
would
do
be
it
able to
live.
search. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. There we go.
So you can look through, you can find a software title and see the various versions that are installed, and then you can see all the hosts that have that installed. We won't try that again for this. So maybe the next time we have a webinar, that won't throw an error for that. Moving on to the next page, we have queries. So queries this is utilizing osquery. We have the ability to actually do a live query, and this is a really cool feature of Fleet, in that within 10 to 15 seconds, I can have a result back from all of the devices that I have that are online. So if I want to, we're just going to get the osquery info off of the device, and I'm not going to target everybody. I'm actually going to target my own machine here. So we can do a quick search, find that. Oh, it says that it's offline. That could be a little bit of a problem there. So let's instead target all the Mac OS, or we'll pick Linux folks on here.
Hey, D,
And
I'm,
if
I'm
we
a little curious though. Where did you get the
Mhm.
name Marguerite?
So Marguerite rhymes with fleet, and that's why why the
Okay,
device is named that.
about as good
Um,
as
Yeah, well, I'm open to other names that rhyme with fleet, but that's where we landed. So you'll see we're getting only two of the five hosts that I targeted are actually online. So, but we've received those results back, and it's near instantaneous. It's within 10 to 15 seconds, so it's near real time that you can answer questions. So whatever the next like log4j that might be out there. Some folks took days, weeks, if not months to figure out if they were affected by that. You can know within minutes whether or not you are affected for whatever the next incident might be for that. So that's live queries. When you're in here, you can also save these out, give them a name and a description, and actually schedule them to run every hour, 4 times a day, twice a day. And this is helpful if you're taking the data that you're collecting with Fleet and putting it into a data lake or a log aggregator, um, in that you can start collecting data not only as point in time but data over time, and this can be helpful if you do have an incident. You can go back and see what the state of things were prior to that incident taking place, and possibly see what guardrails you might need to put up next time. And those guardrails are what we call policies here. So I'm going to jump into a team. It has some policies. Now with the paid version of Fleet Premium, we do include all the CIS benchmarks for Mac and Windows. There's over 500 for Windows and 100 for Mac. So we've done the heavy lifting for you with creating those benchmarks. But essentially, policies are queries that have a true, false, or a yes, no answer to it. So if we look at ensure file vault is enabled here, you can see that the structure of this is that we have information about what this actually is, why this policy exists, and this is as part of our transparency policy. We actually show this to the user. If you have Fleet Desktop installed, they can see this information, the policies that are being applied to their endpoints. And then the potential resolution for that if you want some self-service capabilities of the user. This could also be set to open a ticket with the help desk and get help that way, or whatever your resolution method might be. And then we have the body of the query, and essentially this is checking a few different things to ensure that File Vault is actually enabled. And then if that is all true, it'll return true. If for some reason this returns false, you're now failing the policy. And what's great about this is we can actually utilize this for some automation. So you'll see up here at the top, we have manage automations. And this gives us a lot of power. If we were to turn this on, we have the ability to create a ticket. So this could go immediately into Zendesk or Jira. To just open a ticket and say, hey, these endpoints are failing whatever policies you have selected up here. But your other option, and my preference, is a webhook. So using an automation tool of your choosing could be Okta Workflows, if this then that. I like an open source version called N8N. There's a lot of different options. Anything that has a webhook, if you want to write your own, you can absolutely do that. And now kind of the world's your oyster here. You can have a webhook thrown. So let's say, let's pick an easier example. Let's say Chrome is out of date. So if they're failing Chrome, uh, Chrome's out of date, they're failing that policy, you'll call this webhook here. And that webhook is going to have some logic behind it that's going to say, oh, Chrome's out of date. Let's do an API call to us to then come over here and let's run a script that we have in here that is basically quit Chrome and reopen it. So now we're going to send that script down to the endpoint. wait for it to execute, and then rerun this policy over here. And if that policy reruns and we see that Chrome is now up to date, we can make a log note somewhere and move on with our day. If not, then we can use logic in that automation platform to maybe escalate this, maybe open a ticket, create a Slack ping, what have you, to move that along in that automation isn't working for us the way we intended. So that's a very simplified example. There are very much more robust and more capable ways of doing this and reasons why you would want to do that. Chrome is just a very simple example for that. So those are policies. And that's a quick overview of Fleet. We are API first, so everything I'm showing you here in the UI can absolutely be done programmatically through scripting, through the API, or through the command line with Fleet CTL or Fleet Control. So there's and really we're API first, so there's actually more capability and more flexibility through the API than you're going to find here in the UI. So if your immediate question is, can I do X or how do I do X in the UI? More than likely, our first answer is going to be, here's how to do that in the API or with the API or the command line, and then possibly how to do that in the UI. We really do encourage a DevOps workflow for that. So that means that you're managing things like these configuration profiles in a repo, a Git repo of some sort, and you're actually going to make a branch and then do a pull request with any changes. Have somebody else in your org verify the action that you're taking, and once you merge that PR, that's when your automation will take over, call our API to distribute this configuration profile down to the endpoint. And so that's the quick and skinny on Fleet.
Yeah, I really appreciate the quick and skinny on. Um, I've definitely poked around the UI a lot. I am quick. It might be if MacBook. Also curious about the on it. Do I typically see scripts that
So if you're an admin, and this is controlled by different levels of access to this, because you can have a view-only user account. If you have a view-only account, you're just going to see the details, the software, and the policies, possibly the queries, but not actually be able to execute them on that. So the scripts, because we have administrative access, I can see that these scripts are available here, and then I have the ability to run them. But I'm seeing that your host is not online, so I'm not able to actually to run that. So you'd have to crack open that laptop for me to take action on that. But you as the end user, if you go to the Fleet desktop menu, you will not see the scripts that are available for that. When a script does run on an endpoint, let's get back out to all teams here. So when you run a script here, you actually see the details of the script that's being run, and then you'll also get the first 10,000 lines of whatever's returned. We go ahead and capture that as well. So that is part of our transparency policy, and that you know exactly what's happening inside your Fleet instance and who's doing what. But also that information can be gleaned and redirected to other uses. Again, especially if you're calling us with our API, you can take the results of those script runs or those query runs to take further action, build your workflow out.
awesome? That definitely answered my question. I have to add last question. A lot of people from the community reach out. Questions. I have to know, JD, what's your favorite question people tip?
My favorite question. You're gonna try and stump me with this one, huh?
I'm gonna stump you with this one. Yeah.
So I'm not sure that it's a favorite question, but we get a lot of questions about building queries. And things I like to point out in the UI is that we have all of the the database schema, all the table information is available over here on this sidebar. So you can click into any of these and you'll get information about the columns, what type of data should be contained in them, along with information and an example policy for that, or not policy, but query for that. So uh, this is really handy, I think, and something that sometimes gets hidden away. If this gets closed over here, there's a little show schema that'll expose that back for you, so that you can see that information about the different tables that you're looking for. The other thing that I like to point out is that we do have autocomplete here. So if I want to select from, let's pick that manage policies. You can see that it's automatically prompting me with the tables that are available. So this is a very smart query builder in that once I have that picked, I can, add a where statement, and I now have the various uh, column names available to me, so I can pick that and start building out that query. So this can be pretty helpful to help speed along that query building process here in our UI.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JD, for giving us the rundown.
Absolutely.
Anybody has any questions? Ask in the chat. Going forward, JD will be the Sherpa of all things complete webinars. So forward to more of these. If you have questions, feel free to ask. But
Absolutely. And if you have questions in the interim, we do have two very active forums between the osquery Slack fleet uh, 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 channel, sorry, and also the Mac Admins Slack channel as well. So feel free to ask questions in there. We have a great community of folks out there that are more than willing to help you figure out a query, answer questions about Fleet, osquery, and everything else that surrounds this great community and environment.
thank you so much.
All right, thanks.